I want to do a quick compare and contrast between three players when it comes to personal loans. And of course, I'm speaking about SoFi, LendingPoint, and Upgrade. So we are going to compare and contrast those three lenders, and we're going to really see the best from a personal loan perspective. So here's a review I want you to pay attention to. I'm going to first start with SoFi. And when you think about SoFi, here are the pros and cons that you need to really remember. The pluses first. So SoFi doesn't charge late fees, so that's kind of cool. If you're having problems with your liquidity, SoFi is not going to penalize you for it. So that's kind of cool. And you can actually borrow up to $100,000. So that's really generous when it comes to personal loans for a lender to actually approve you maximum 6 digits. You don't have a lot of players that actually do that. And I mean, so you also have Livestream that does it. So that's kind of cool. You have a Wells Fargo also that does it. I mean, SoFi is a fintech and Wells Fargo is the traditional banks. But long story short, we also love the fact that with SoFi, co-borrowers are accepted. So basically, if your FICO score is too low and you really need to have actually a co-borrower kind of help you get approved, SoFi is going to allow it. So what are the minuses? When you think about SoFi personal loans, borrowers with less than stellar credit may not qualify. So if you have a very, very bad credit, you may not qualify under certain circumstances, and you cannot borrow less than $5,000. So if you're looking for a smaller amount, go to another player. But overall, what we love about SoFi is that SoFi offers personal loans up to $100,000, and they have terms between 2 and 7 years. Okay. And so the company has been in existence for the last 14 to 15 years. And what we love about SoFi is that they actually offer, besides personal loans, they offer auto loans, they have student loans, they also do home loans, and they also have, they started like 2 years ago during COVID. They actually started innovating, and they actually are now offering banking products as well as insurance. So that's that's really, really good. So overall, we think SoFi is great for people who have a fair to good or even excellent credit. People who would rather avoid fees in exchange for a higher rate and a higher interest rate, and people who want to apply with a co-borrower. They will love SoFi. So how do you qualify? So when you think about SoFi personal loans, how do you qualify to qualify for a SoFi personal loan? You must actually meet the following requirements. We'll put this on the screen so it's pretty clear to all our viewers. So there are four main criteria. So you have to be a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or visa holder. You gotta actually be at least 18 years old, and you have to live in an eligible state. And you should be employed, have an offer to start a job within the next 90 days, or have sufficient income from other sources. I mean, the bottom line is SoFi wants to make sure that you are liquid, you are able to repay your loan, and you gotta really have a good credit history. But SoFi is actually pretty flexible in terms of a credit history, and that's kind of cool. Now, one thing for sure, co-borrowers are accepted. The application review process may take an extra week or two if you have to really think about having a co-borrower. And in terms of credit score, SoFi will get you in if you have a minimum of 600. Okay, and in terms of DTI, around 30% to 35%, they will actually consider you. And what we love about SoFi, unlike other players when it comes to personal loans, is that SoFi actually covers all 50 states. So their personal loans are available in all states, from New York to Alaska to Hawaii to California. Okay, so that's an important element. And one thing I want to say also is that SoFi allows you to pre-qualify. So what you want to do is you want to go through the soft pull process to see how much you could qualify for it. That way you can actually preserve your FICO score, right? Why actually risk losing a few points of your credit score if you can really have a soft pull process? So SoFi actually allows you to do that. So that's really good. And we also love the fact that here is a lender that has received countless rave reviews online on sites such as a Triple B, but also a Trust Pilot. So that's really fantastic. I want to talk to you now about lending points. So when you think about lending points, I want you to think about the fact that you have a lender that will give you your cash as soon as possible, so you can actually be approved as the next as early as the next business day, and so that's kind of cool. But you have to really account for a high origination fee. With lending point, you have to account for a high origination fee, and the APR range for a lending point goes from 8% to 36%. And the lending point is not as generous as SoFi. Like SoFi is giving you a maximum of $100,000. Lending point is capping you at 36,500. So their rates go. I mean, their loan amount go from 2,000 to 36,500 dollars. I mean, of course, with lending point, you can actually have a lower borrowing amount because SoFi is giving you a 5,000 to 100,000, whereas lending point is giving you a 2,000 to $36,500. And the loan term is actually more flexible, also in our view, because lending point is allowing you to actually have up to 72 months to actually repay the loan that you get through this lender. So what are the pros and cons here? The pros first: you can receive loan funds as soon as possible, and usually within 24 hours. And you can pre-qualify with a soft credit inquiry that will not harm your credit. And you can use the Lending Point app to manage your loan, track your credit score, and more. What about the cons here? What are the minuses? Well, basically, Lending Point does not allow co-signers or co-borrowers. So SoFi would allow co-borrowers, but Lending Point does not. And borrowers pay an origination fee of up to 10% of the loan amount. So if you were approved, let's say for $10,000 as a loan, Lending Point will give you 9,000. They will take 1,000 as their origination fee, and the lender may not report payment to all three of the major credit bureaus. Okay, so something to think about. And Lending Point actually offers personal and business loans in 48 states and the District of Columbia. So loans are not available in Nevada and West Virginia. So this is important to think about. And Lending Point, by the way, is based in Georgia. So something to really think about, especially if you are looking for a scalability perspective here. So Lending Point, in our view, is best for borrowers with fair credit, consumers who need relatively small loans, right? Because the minimum here is $2,000. And also, we think Lending Point is best for people who plan to pay off the loan quickly to avoid a high interest charges. So this is an important element to think about, especially in the long run. How do you qualify for a Lending Point personal loan? Well, basically, as a borrower, you need to check that you meet the basic eligibility requirements. And so if you want to apply, you must be at least 18 years of age. That's something that Lending Point actually pays attention to. You got to provide a valid photo ID. You need to have a social security number, and you need to earn a minimum annual income of $25,000. So that's a little more than $2,200. And that's actually on a gross basis. And you need to have a verifiable personal bank account in your name, and you need to live somewhere that Lending Point does business anywhere in the U.S. except Nevada or West Virginia. Okay, and you can also apply if you have a discharged bankruptcy at least 12 months ago, but your credit, income, employment, and other factors may actually determine whether you will receive a loan offer. So something to really think about. And one thing I want to say also is that basically Lending Point, that's one thing we love a lot in terms of flexibility. Lending Point actually uses the soft pull, right? Which means what? It means kind of similar to SoFi. You can actually check out how much you might qualify for without hurting your credit score. So you can actually gauge your approval odds, and you can also see what kind of offers Lending Point has. And in terms of here is a very reputable lender, by the way. They've been around for many years now, and I mean they have received rave reviews on Trustpilot, on Triple B, on other sites. Now they also have a few complaints in the last two to 3 years, especially during COVID. So that's one of those things where you have to be aware of. But overall, here is a solid player that we love a lot. So that's really fantastic. So Lending Point personal loans, great lender. Next, I want to talk to you about upgrade personal loans. So if you have a minimum credit score of 600, Upgrade offers you a completely online loan experience. Although it doesn't accept co-signers, it has an excellent rating on Trustpilot with more than 40,000 reviews. So that's kind of cool from a scalability perspective, okay? And so let's go a little more granular here when we think about Upgrade. So Upgrade actually will give you $1,000 all the way to $50,000. So Upgrade is actually going even lower than LendingPoint and even lower than SoFi. SoFi, the minimum with SoFi was what? 5,000. Minimum with LendingPoint is 2,000. Minimum with Upgrade is actually 1,000. And so the maximum with Upgrade is actually $50,000. So right off the bat, you can see that Upgrade is a better option than LendingPoint for sure, because the SoFi goes from SoFi's loans go from 2,000 to 36,500. LendingPoint's loans go from 2,000 to 36,500. Upgrade's loans go from $1,000 to $50,000. And and the loan term actually is up to 84 months. So that's kind of cool. And you have funding next day. So that's kind of cool in terms of flexibility. We love that a lot. And also, I need to mention that there is an origination fee of 1.85%. But this is way better than LendingPoint that's charging you up to 10%. That's crazy, you know? So what are the pluses and minuses here when you think about this player? The pluses first. You have loans and lines of credit that are available up to $50,000. You have secured and unsecured loans that are available. And as a borrower, you can actually complete the entire loan process online. And by the way, you also have the possibility to actually go through a pre-qual process. And what are the minuses here, the cons? Well, Upgrade charges an origination fee on all loans, even though it's way lower than what LendingPoint has. And you have variable rate loans are not available. But Upgrade is a smaller player. I mean, smaller. It's a younger player. They actually were started in 2017. They have offices in Atlanta, Phoenix, and Montreal. And they offer personal loans. They have also rewards checking and credit monitoring, as well as educational tools. So that's kind of important to think about. So when you close your eyes and think about Upgrade, I want you to think about a lender that's ideal for those who prefer an online lender, people who seek personal loans from $1,000 to $50,000, and consumers with relatively good credit. So how do you qualify for an Upgrade personal loan? Well, Upgrade does not disclose the debt-to-income ratio needed for approval, but they disclose a minimum credit score of 600, and so that's kind of cool. And so basically, what they look at your cash inflows versus your cash outflows. In other words, they will review your credit profile in addition to what you make versus what you spend. Okay, and Upgrade does not accept co-signers. So aside from credit score, eligibility for a personal loan from Upgrade also depends on credit usage and history, right? Your CUR and so your credit utilization ratio, as well as your debt to income ratio. And you must be a U.S. citizen or have a U.S. visa, and you must be at least 18 or 19 years old, depending on state law. And what happens here is that Upgrade will verify that you have a bank account and that you also must have a valid email address. That's what we love in terms of flexibility. Upgrade is pretty straightforward. One thing for sure, Upgrade allows you to actually pre-qualify for the loan. That's kind of cool. And so, for instance, in terms of the credit score you need to actually qualify, you don't have to. It's pretty straightforward. And so, to apply for an Upgrade loan, you want to fill in the requested loan amount and the purpose of the loan. And once you provide some personal information, such as name, date of birth, and earnings, Upgrade will do a soft credit check and provide the loan offers for which you qualify. And once you are approved, Upgrade sends funds to your bank or designated account within 1 business day, and availability of funds depends on how quickly your bank processes the transaction. And the time from when your upgrade personal loan is approved to when you can access the money should be no more than 4 business days, according to our investigation. So that's kind of cool. So when you think about it, upgrade is pretty reputable. They have like 20 to 30,000 reviews on Trustpilot. Think about it, and they have an excellent rating of 4.6 out of 5 stars. Can you imagine a company that was just started 7 years ago? They already have accumulated 20 to 30,000 reviews in such a short span. So that's really that really tells you a lot about the quality of customer service, but also the quality of their product. So SoFi versus LendingPoint versus Upgrade. Which one should you go for? Before I answer that question, let me give you the approach you need to really think about in terms of choosing your personal loan provider. Right. One thing for sure, you need to really understand that the average interest rate on a personal loan is above 12%, especially in the last 5 years. And common fees include origination fees, prepayment penalties, as well as late fees. And some lenders allow co-borrowers and co-signers on your loan, so that's kind of cool. For instance, when you go with SoFi, they will approve you as a co-borrower, so that's important. And so what you want to do is you want to evaluate total cost alongside other services and customer reviews. So that's an important element. And so you also have to think about how much you want to borrow, right? Do you want to borrow like up to $50,000, or you want to go above like $100,000? Because SoFi, for instance, is giving you $100,000. Okay. You also got to think about the approval requirements. So every lender has its own criteria for approving borrowers, and most lenders will look at factors like your credit score and income to determine your eligibility for a loan. So this is an important element to think about. And we have seen cases where lenders will take a look at your educational background and job history. Okay. They will actually, so what you want to do is you want to research the eligibility requirements prior to applying so that you can actually narrow down your choices to those that offer loans within your credit profile. You also you want to pay attention to the interest rates, right? You want to look at co-signers. So do they allow co-signers? And what about the fees? We spoke about origination fees. We spoke about other fees. So it really depends. Also the loan amounts, the repayment options, the amount of months that you have to repay the loan, right? The unique features that the loan might have. And what about customer service and experience also? And also the types of loan offered. This should be really important because when it comes to personal loans, you have a variety. You have bad credit loans, debt consolidation loans, emergency loans, home renovation loans. So this is an important element to pay attention to. So here is our pick. SoFi versus LendingPoint versus Upgrade. Which one should you go for? We would go for Upgrade. Why? Because Upgrade actually gives you $1,000 to $50,000. The credit score is around the minimum credit score is around 600, and Upgrade charges a small origination fee, 1.85%, whereas a LendingPoint, for instance, could charge you up to 10%. So SoFi is our next favorite one. But SoFi actually has a very high minimum loan amount, 5,000. So if you don't need 5,000, if you want to borrow 5,000, you probably can't do business with SoFi. But SoFi is very generous in the sense that they're giving you up to $100,000. But what we love about the Upgrade is that they give you a very low minimum amount, but also a lot of years to repay the loan, like 7 years. That's really fantastic. So here's the bottom line to this conversation. I spoke to you about SoFi versus LendingPoint versus Upgrade. I give you the review, the approach, the peak, and the bottom line. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.